by. You have reached another episode of the NRW Checkpoint. I am one of your hosts, the man, the myth, the man, the voice, the fragrance. Cool, you people got me messed up today. WebsterStyle, and as always, I'm joined by my man, Brian Sapph. Brian, how you doing today, man?
I'm great. Yourself?
I'm good, man. I'm good. It's been a long week, a long week. Now, as person speaking, but gaming wise, there's been a lot of news has dropped over the past couple of days. This weekend we had Summer Game Fest, and then also Xbox Bethesda press conference happened, as well as PlayStation Plus came online in the US. So it's been very big for gaming. Now, Brian, are there any announcements from this weekend, whether it is Summer Games Fest or the Xbox Bethesda event, or even not Resident Evil, but Capcom just yesterday, the day before this recording, just dropped a whole bunch of news on Resident Evil 4, as well as DLC for Resident Evil Village. Is there anything that's got you stoked for the next couple months, or in some cases the next year? Because Microsoft's press conference was literally every game that's coming out in the next 12 months.
Oh, really?
They ain't talking about nothing in the later half of 2023 or 2024. Everything is supposed to come out by June of next year.
Okay. Okay, so I haven't watched the Microsoft Bethesda, I haven't watched it all the way through yet. I've seen a couple of things, but also I'm not an Xbox owner. So, maybe okay. I'll look into some of those games. But as far as Summer Game Fest, I think everything that I was interested in, or most of what I was interested in, showed up in the state of play for PlayStation. Like, definitely looking forward to the Midnight Suns Marvels game. I like tactical games.
I'm not as hype on that as I was before. I don't know. I'm just it's something about it now. It's like, I'm not that interested in that game anymore, because I was really hype about it when they first announced it.
Yeah, I think it's just because it's a new, foray as far as Marvel is concerned with their type of games that they normally do. This one's a tactical, like not necessarily RPG or whatever, but it's a tactical game. Not unlike a Civilization or whatever. That's actually the same producer, Fraxis, the game company behind this one.
Yeah.
So that's pretty much what I'm most excited for, is in terms of that, because I like Fraxis is one of my favorite game developers. Their tactical games are always like next level. I really enjoy them. Outside of that, I seen Witchfire on the Summer Game Fest. I'm interested in that. I don't know if that'll be like for PlayStation or Xbox specifically.
I remember that one.
I think it's coming to everything.
Yeah, probably Summer Games Fest usually most of those games are multi-platformers, so wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, I'm trying to think, because there's literally only one game from Summer Game Fest that I cared about, and we're talking about it later today. Okay. So I'm like, I don't even remember any. I do remember Midnight Suns, but I've watched more video on it after the fact. So, I don't remember a lot, but I know as a whole, many people were kind of underwhelmed with it, and they were expecting a lot more larger or mainstream announcements.
I think that was because they didn't show stuff for gameplay or give any updates for games that people were super hyped, super looking for as far as the Xbox community is concerned. But like I said, a lot of the trailers and stuff that I saw between Summer Game Fest and between the Microsoft Bethesda thing, most of that stuff kind of came with state of play. Like I said, I don't necessarily have access to Xbox at this point in time, so the Microsoft one, it kind of went over my head a little bit. But I did see some cool trailers in there that I thought were dope.
Right.
Most notably, though, because you asked about my favorite one, I'm really, really looking forward to Overwatch 2.
I knew you was going to definitely be intrigued by that
Overwatcher, one. And I mean, Overwatch 1 went cross-play, I believe. It's almost 2 years now, I believe. I want to say almost 2 years. So Xbox players have been in the mix or whatever, as far as, you know, trying to fight console player or PlayStation players and PC players or whatever. But apparently, Overwatch 2 is going to be available for everybody, you know, as soon as it launches or whatever. So I'm excited for that. The beta is coming up. Well, the second beta, which will include console players along with the PC players, because the first beta was only for PC players. The second one coming up at the end of June should let everybody have access to it. And then they did reveal the official release date tentatively, I guess, because, you know, it's Blizzard, so they could definitely be like, never mind, we changed our minds, let's push it back a couple more months. But supposedly Overwatch 2 should be out in October. So that's pretty much what I'm excited the most for. I don't have to do anything fancy like go out and buy a new console or nothing like that. I could just hit the Play Store.
if you get a new TV, you only got to pay that Game Pass subscription in the next coming years. So you don't have to do that.
Outside of video games, I'm also like really, really interested in that whole Xbox app thing that they are bringing up, because I don't know, you have to explain the cloud play more to me or whatever. But as far as I'm knowledgeable of, Xbox cloud play is not as janky as like
I end up using it a lot via Game Pass, because there are many times that I just don't feel like downloading the game. It can have its moments, I will give it that. But I've gotten pretty good sessions, and I've played on PC, I play on my phone, I play on my console. I have really good overall experience with it. Like literally, I was in Starbucks the other morning doing my walk. I just pulled up my phone. I'm like, let me just play. And I forget what I booted up. I think I booted up Pac-Man Museum Plus, because that's on the cloud, just to see how it plays. Now, mind you, and that's touch controls too. So many of the games, they do have touch controls. I don't like the touch controls on a lot of the games. There's a bit of lag at times, but I've played some games, and like way back when we talked about Double Dragon Neon, I played that plenty of times via the cloud on my phone, and I love the touch controls on that one. So it can work. It's like Microsoft saw what Stadia did, and it's like, we are not going to do anything remotely like that when it comes to our cloud gaming service. So
all right, so
it definitely can work, and I can see that, particularly because of the first party exclusives. But I can see that as being a robust option for people who, like yourself, who may not want to buy a new console, but may want to dip their toe into the Microsoft ecosystem. And then you can kind of just get in and get out when you want to. And they're always offering like $1 trial for a month or something like that. So it works very well in my opinion. But I'm looking forward to. I'm very high on Redfall.
I don't
like
the ones.
The comparisons of Left 4 Dead, because I didn't get that at all from it. It's a first-person shooter like anything else. But I thought that was really cool. I like the different character classes, and you're fighting vampires. I wasn't, and I say this because not that they didn't have a good show. I'm not that gamer that gets excited about everything anymore. And you know, we talk, and we tend to be very specific in what gets us excited nowadays, because we played a plethora of games and we have varying interests when it comes to gaming. So for Forza Motorsports looks amazing. I'll play it just because on Game Pass. Am I excited for it? No. A lot of the smaller stuff that people were hyped for, I'm like, nah. Starfield, I have no interest in Starfield whatsoever, personally speaking. I'm not a Bethesda RPG guy. So just when you say Bethesda and RPGs, like that literally does nothing for me. But I am, the other game I was excited about, and this is a multi-platform release, is that game from Team Ninja, Wulong Fallen Dynasty. It looked like at least from the, and it was just a CGI trailer. It looked like if you put Ninja Gaiden cross with Dynasty Warriors and zombie ninja samurais you're fighting. At least, again, that's what I get from the trailer. The actual gameplay may be totally different because we only got a CGI trailer, but even after Itagaki left Team Ninja many moons ago, they've still been able to produce some really good games, specifically action games. So I'm excited for that. And that's a multi-platform release. and that's dropping day one on Game Pass. So I'm looking forward to that. But also, we've talked about RPGs, and I'm not like, oh, I can't wait to play these because I'll probably play them just because of Game Pass. Right. But the Persona series is dropping. 3, 4, and 5 are all dropping on Game Pass. And a lot of people have been talking about that in the world for a couple of years now, how Microsoft doesn't have that Japanese support, and more they're getting that support from Japanese studios, and these distinctly Japanese games are dropping not just on Xbox, but dropping on Game Pass, which is, I think, a really good thing. Of course, they're cutting a check, but these publishers really make out because of it.
And they kind of need that, like Xbox is a world console. It's not just American. I mean, yes, the brand behind it is American focused and centric and stuff like that, very Western civilization as far as Xbox and Microsoft is concerned, but has a global reach. So they definitely need to start expanding out into those particular regions of the world, the Japans and China's and stuff like that, because they have good content over there. I don't know what takes Xbox so long to hit the curve. I hope it's not like a political thing, because there's a lot of it to be.
Well, you got to think. Well, I've listened to a lot of different conversations about this. A lot of it was the games, and those Japanese sort of specific games were not there and have not been there, especially last generation, which really killed them.
Okay.
Also, I've heard this since the 360. Even though the PlayStation 5 is humongous,
yes,
the Xbox One, the original, was humongous, and a lot of people like it's just big, it's unwieldy, it doesn't fit in the small sort of spaces that a traditional Japanese family will live in, which is why the Xbox Series X is, I mean, it's not selling better than the Switch or the PS3, but I think last month it was the number 3 most sold console in Japan. The Series S is already sold more than an Xbox One did in its entire lifetime in Japan. And they attribute a lot of that to more and more of those Japanese games coming to Xbox and Game Pass specifically, because the whole Yakuza series was there, Last Judgment was on Game Pass, like all these really big titles in Japan ended up coming to Game Pass, and also Series S is cheap, so it's easy for somebody, cheap, I don't know about you. Just dropping $300 on a system ain't cheap to me, but in comparison with the Series X and the PlayStation 5, both models, is the cheapest next gen / current gen console you can get. So if you're going to dip your toe into it, that's a relatively inexpensive way of doing it. So, but those are the games I'm really excited about, looking forward to the next couple of years. But I thought it was really bold of Microsoft, and I think it took a little bit of wind out of their sails by only doing it for the next 12 months. So things like Perfect Dark, Fable, a couple other games they're developing that I would be excited for. Like, I want to see what Perfect Dark is going to be about when it comes out. I'm not saying I'm a humongous Perfect Dark fan, but I'm looking to see what that reimagining looks like. Also, I think some of us, there have been rumors about this GoldenEye remake floating around, showing up on Xbox Live for years now. I don't know. Maybe when Nintendo announces it on their end at their next direct, if it happens, it'll show up on live. But listen, I want to play that just because, and I personally was hoping for that remake to be announced for Xbox Live, but it didn't happen. So,
which is fine. It's fine because typically the 007 games tend to be more Nintendo focused. Sometimes, I mean, there's been a few titles that pop up on PlayStation or whatever, but GoldenEye on the N64 is really what like set it off for us. And when I hear these things about these remakes or whatever, that's one that I'm like so excited about. I don't really want to talk about because I want it to happen. I don't want to jinx nothing. But yes, definitely looking forward to GoldenEye remake.
Yeah, I will be playing that. That was what, sophomore year of college, so it was many a day.
Wow.
Like, just think, you got like 10 to 20 dudes.
Yeah.
On a 64. On a little 13-inch CRT TV, and everybody just going at it, land proximity mines. Like, you can't have any more fun than that, man.
Yeah, a lot of memories for me as
Yeah.
well with that particular game. Especially, I don't know, I used to go to summer camps as a kid, like at the local community centers or whatever, and they had the the N64 in there. We played Golden Eye, literally like a whole tournament. I'm talking about
Right.
kids and kids and kids just flooding into the game room. Who's gonna be the one to last the longest on Golden Eye? At that point, it's only 4 player split screens, no online capability. So you really had to just like focus and whoop ass. But I miss GoldenEye. I hope they bring it back. And then
we
you
all have fond
mentioned
memories of that.
you definitely. And you mentioned the Persona series coming to Xbox as well. That was another trailer that I saw that I was like, oh, this might be interesting. What is it called? Stargate? Was it a Star Rail?
Starfield.
Like yes, Star Rail. I don't know. It looks really dope. It kind of gives me like the same vibes as like a Persona game, but it looked like they had some mech stuff going on in there and things like that. I don't know.
Yes. Okay. No. Yeah. Okay. No, not Starfield. I know which game you're talking about. Yeah, I saw that too. There's that game. I feel like there's a I forget what I read about it, but yeah. But it looked cool. I think with the 12-month. I think it works in their benefit during just the next 12 months. It really tells gamers like this is what's coming on. That's like it was like 35 plus games that they announced during the course of that, and pretty much 100% of those games are coming to Game Pass day one. So they're really doubling down on that. But before we get into the new games, I just want to touch on two. Capcom had their Resident Evil wasn't real live stream, but their package and reveal yesterday. Again, I think I've said before, I'm not a humongous Resident Evil fan as far as playing the games, but I've enjoyed watching people play through them.
Yeah, they're
and
fun
one
games.
of the arguments that I've heard with Resident Evil Village is that a lot of people didn't find it to be scary. So now with the new DLC, there's two new DLCs. One's added mercenary mode, so you get Chris Redfield. I forget the dude that controlled all the gears and stuff, but everybody's new favorite wet dream vampire, big busted woman, Lady Demetress, is now part of Mercenary, so you can play as her. There's also a new DLC story mode. I think it's called Shadow Rose, and it's following Ethan's daughter Rose, now as a 16-year-old, as she goes back and she's dealing with these powers and whatnot. So that looked really interesting. And that's in third person view. And because of that DLC, you can now play the mainline game in third person, not first person. So I'm wondering if people will get a different perception of the game playing it in third person compared to first person, where they feel like has more of that horror element. I think sometimes, even though they did a very good job in Resident Evil 7, I think especially with the gameplay I saw with Resident Evil Village, I feel like that first person immersiveness took out the horror elements for many people. Even for me watching, it was more of a very action oriented compared to, say, watching gameplay of RE7, and like you never knew where things were coming out. A lot of those boss battles, like they were tense just the way it was paced, and they did a very good job pacing everything in that first person to create that heightened tension of being in a horror movie. And as someone who watched gameplay of RE8, I didn't get that at all, especially when I look at what they did with the remakes of RE2 and RE3. More so RE2, you got more of that horror element in that pacing with that third person view. Not as much as RE3, but we all know that was more action oriented anyway, and they've said as such.
Well, hopefully the next installment or the DLC will bring the fans back to being scared.
Yeah, and that's coming out October, and then the remake of RE4 is coming out in March. So it'll be a lot of RE in the next couple of months. So that's it for announcements. Of course, it's supposed to be a quote unquote Nintendo Direct coming up soon. So I'm sure we have more to talk about. And PlayStation has to do something. They have to do another State of Play.
Of course. We're coming up on the summer months. It's time.
Right. And then all the other game studios haven't done anything yet. So we're going to have a lot more news coming up. So let's get into the first release of this week. The first release this week is Neon White. It's an action game that's coming out for the Switch and the PC. And we're actually watching the trailer for that. It looked pretty cool. Again, that 3D anime cell shaded style. Looked like some mech battle was in there too. Looked like and some of the research I was doing, so it looked pretty interesting.
Okay, I think it's interesting. Never we do these talk about the new releases or whatever. Rarely is it Switch and PC only.
Yeah, exactly.
But I get it though, because it's a JRPG, right? Or it's
action, but it has that sort of visual style.
Okay, yeah.
But I'm surprised in that PS4. Usually, if it switches PS4, but
right.
Who knows?
Well, maybe this studio is taking a different approach. I feel like this Neon White game comes from a Japanese studio.
Yes, I believe it does. I forget whom, but yeah, it definitely comes from a Japanese studio.
So of course they're going home first to the Switch, and they're gonna put it on PC to test it out. Maybe we'll get it on Xbox and PlayStations after it does.
That's probably what's going to happen. It's usually what happens. All right. Next up, we have Redout 2, and that's for all the PlayStation systems, all the Xbox systems, Switch, and PC. And this is a futuristic racer. So when I looked at it, we're actually going to watch the trailer, but it looked like a cross between F-Zero and Wipeout.
Which,
in my
classics.
Opinion. Yeah, exactly. So you can't go wrong there. So really built on futuristic cars as well as high speed. So there's not too much really to say about that.
And you know what? You don't really need to say much.
No.
When it comes to games like this or whatever, it's a racing game and the cars are futuristic. Like, people can picture that immediately. I'm interested to watch the trailer though, because it's been a while since I got a good futuristic racing game. So let's see.
Next up, we have, and this baffled me, Starship Troopers Terran Command. Now, Starship Troopers, if I remember correctly, came out in 97 or 98. It was my sophomore year of college. That's how I remember exactly what year it came out. Starship Troopers, I love that movie. I absolutely love it. It's a great sci-fi film, and it's very much in the vein of that classic Peter Verhoeven, where he used sci-fi to talk about societal issues. He did that with RoboCop, and how they did that with the commercials. Did very similar thing with Starship Troopers. And surprisingly, it's a franchise that has persisted in some way, shape, or form since then, but again, not in public consciousness. So surprised that somebody thought enough of to grab the license. And I'm not sure if it's the film license or the book license, because the books are originally written by Robert Heinlein, and the books are drastically different than the movies, from what I understand. But they use this to basically create a real-time strategy game, which, when you think about it, especially with StarCraft, I totally get it. Why you have a real-time strategy game, but this is Starship Troopers Terran Command. So you obviously in command of Terran, and your real-time strategy game against the bugs. And I'm assuming there are different classes of bugs in this game that you'll have to face. So it's an RTS. You know what?
Yeah.
You either like those sort of games or you don't like those sort of games.
Yeah. They tend to come with a level of difficulty to them because they are real time. So things tend to change on a whim, but those can be very, very fun games. So have to look at a trailer sometime. Oh, it's coming for PC? All right.
Yeah, we're not looking at that trailer. But again, it's a real-time strategy game. You pretty much know what it's going to look like when you look at it.
Yeah.
And then the last game for this week is the game that I was most excited about from Summer Game Fest, not because it was announced, but we got a release date, and that is Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge, and that's on the PS4 and obviously PS5, Xbox One, and obviously Xbox Series systems, Switch, and PC. And to quote my notes, 6-player motherfucking Turtles arcade action, online and couch co-op 6 players,
which is even better.
You play as Splinter, Casey Jones, April, as well as the Turtles. And this is by Dotemu, and you know them because they did that glorious Streets of Rage 4 a couple years ago. And I think this is retailing for 30. No, is it $25.99? I think it's $25.99.
Yeah,
Maybe it's $29.99. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
But it is dropping day one on Game Pass.
Perfect.
So I will be playing that. I'll be playing this bad boy tomorrow as soon as it come out. I may not be working. Well, boss, if you're listening, I'm working. Yes. I'm working. Yeah. He's not listening. But anyway, so I'm excited, but I've been excited about this one since they announced it. This, in addition to that collection that Konami's bringing out of all of the Turtles SNES games, Genesis games, Game Boy games, Nintendo games is coming out in a couple months. Like, this is the summer of TMNT. We just need a movie or something to go with it. Like, this is amazing.
Turtle madness right now.
Turtles fan, young and old. And I love these games because Turtles is a franchise that has existed. I think Turtles 1 came out, I feel like it was 84, but it blew up in 87 with the cartoon when I was a kid. So I was what? Okay. 8 or 9 when that came out. But it's consistently been reinvented over the years. So with the past 30 years now, you have multiple generations who have their own iteration of the Turtles that they love, whether it is the movies that I grew up with, whether it's that early 2000s series, which was really excellent, whether it's that CGI movie that came out, or I would say, God forbid, Michael Bay movies. The first one wasn't great, but the second one was surprisingly good because it was like a live action version of the cartoon. Yeah, it was over the top. You had Krang, really campy, Technodrome, like everything I would want in a Turtles movie. Yeah, it was there. It just had Michael Bay's name attached to it. So I'll say they're fans of that. They're fans of the most recent Turtle series. Legend of the Turtles, they were fans of all ages, all demographics, and everybody has their favorite turtle. And I always, something like that is like Power Rangers, is like Doctor Who. It's been around so long, and there's so many different versions. Everybody has their own favorite, but everybody can come together to celebrate when something like this comes out, and everybody loves it. And that's what I love about Turtles. It cuts across generations at this point in time. So this game, especially having a new arcade game, I'm all for it.
Yeah, I agree. I seen that trailer for it. I think Summer Games Fest put the trailer out, and I was like, oh, this is gonna be dope. Because I have memories of playing like Ninja Turtle arcade games at the skating ring down here, whatever the case might be. Very, very fun game. And like you said, it spans generations. Then that's how you know you have a good franchise. That's been remade. It's been not necessarily not replicated, but it's been remade several times to fit, the style of the generation that it's trying to appeal to, whatever. And it's always maintained that consistency of like just being this wholesome, fun cartoon to just watch. Very unique premise. It's turtles turning into humanoid ninjas or whatever and going up against a rat who can do the same thing. Well, Shredder's not a rat, but either way, very, very fun series, and I'm looking forward to that game as well. You said dropping day one on Game Pass. Yep. I'm hoping that we get game trial play with that as well, as far as PlayStation players are concerned, because I don't know, that doesn't seem like a title that they would be like, no, you have to buy the full version, X, Y, and Z. So we'll see, because PlayStation tiers are live and game trials are accessible, so we'll see what happens.
Yeah, I'm interested. Maybe next show, once you have it, because it just went live this week, right?
Yes, to my knowledge, anyway. Okay. I came home one day.
Do you have it?
It's like, I don't have. Well, I haven't upgraded. They're working out like a pricing thing or whatever. So I'm trying to figure out how I fit into that. But
all right. So when all that's sorted out, I'll be interested to get your opinions on it and what you think of it.
Yeah.
All right, so with that, let's get on to our first trailer, Neon White, and that is being released for the Switch and the PC.
Neon White. And I was like, oh, they look like
we're called neons. Sinners plucked from hell to do God's dirty work. But I'm finding it hard to believe we're in heaven.
Was I wrong in the
You
mech
day,
thing, or is
you
it just
mission
that,
from Almighty.
that first person?
You think you can win me over by showering me with gifts? Good
Just the
thinking.
first person.
It looks
No sound.
it looks interesting.
It does.
Definitely looks interesting. Oh, it's interactive. Okay, you know they're publishing some really interesting indie gems because what they did that Neon Blue game a couple weeks ago, also the Artful Escape, and
right.
that 12 minutes game. Also that game Tell Me Lies that they had as well. But yeah, they're much like Devolver Digital. They're very selective with the titles they put out. They're very selective and deliberate,
which is good.
Yeah, very good. So yeah, it looks like something that I would be interested in playing. It looks really looks kind of kooky, but in a good way.
yeah. And I wonder if the Neon Blue and Neon White are like in the same universe.
No, that's Neon Blue is something totally different. That's what the young girl who went back in her memories with her mom.
Okay.
Yeah, that's like that's one of they're very good for those sort of story interactive games.
Right.
I still gotta go back and finish the Artful Escape. I just haven't. I'm still playing Trek to Yomi, and I was stuck on this boss, and I finally beat it the other day, and it's like now I'm even further. It's like I'm still that twist in that game, like I did not see this coming at all.
Well, that's good.
I'm even more so intrigued at where it's going to lead me. So that's literally, like, seriously, the only thing I've been playing for the past couple of weeks. Have done that Pac-Man museum thing, and I picked up Ninja Gaiden 3. I talked about it in the last show, but yeah, it's But of course, this week I'll be playing Turtles. Definitely playing Turtles. Yes, Turtles.
Oh yeah, the Turtles. Well, let's see. Man, I really hope they get that on Game Trials, or at least because this is I want to be on Switch as well. So at least with the Turtles, maybe normally Switch, they're really good about making sure that their games have some kind of demo to them or whatever.
Right.
So we'll see. I mean, it's only $25 though. I might just buy it.
Exactly.
Especially if the co-op, the online thing or whatever.
Oh yeah, I can't wait for that. That's gonna be amazing.
Yeah,
6-player
that's
online.
Gonna be fun. And
you know what? Let's hold off on that because we're gonna get to that.
Okay. Oh yes, that's the last show. Okay, cool.
All right. Next trailer we have is Redout 2.
Redout 2, because Redout 1 is
Saber Interactive. You know, they've been doing a lot of big things too as far as publishing and the title they've been putting out. I like they're not a small game company by any means anymore, but they're ones that have been really putting out some unique and interesting titles. They've also done a lot of course to the ports so it definitely really good. Like this is really good.
Yeah, look, I was about to say the game looks great. I know this is my game footage.
Right.
Anything close to that?
Exactly.
This will be fun.
I like the design. I'm assuming the tracks look very much like this.
Yes.
It's really unique. The fact that there's a sequel too, I'm like, when did the first one come out?
Right. But no, this is definitely what I've been looking for. The last racing game got into Sonic Team racing.
Okay, yeah.
And obviously all racing games are pretty much the same. There's an element into this. It reminds me of what's that game where it's like you're racing, but they're like boats that look like spaceships or whatever. What is it?
Hydro Thunder?
Yes.
That's
what it kind of reminds me of a little bit. I like games like that.
Yeah, that looks cool. I would definitely have checked that out. And our last game is one we can't stop talking about. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles Shredder's Revenge.
Yeah.
I love this.
I remember. It's really, I'm interested in this game because this is one of the games like at the skating rink that I could never like get a full group of 4 people to just like fuck shit up with me. So I'm hoping that I'll be able to, well, yeah, you should be able to if it's a multiplayer game that's kind of like today's games where you can solo queue, and it'll fill up the spots other people are playing by themselves. That's gonna be fun because
I'm looking forward to that.
one thing I remember specifically about this game is like the story progression. Like as you go from side to side, you complete different the different levels or whatever. Like obviously there's a story that's being told. And I was really interested in seeing it play out. Never had enough quarters.
Got you. Yeah, it's funny. When the game came out, it was at a pizza parlor down the street from the middle school I went to. Now, mind you, I went to middle school all the way across town, Baltimore, from where I live. So I had to take the bus all the way back across town. So there were days we went down and we literally be there, for like an hour or two, and I'm like, I'm supposed to be home. So instead of getting home at like 4:30, 5 o'clock, I show up at 6, and clearly my family wasn't too happy at that.
Pushing. Goddamn street lights on and you still outside.
Exactly. But it was worth it. Just all of us crowd around this machine and playing it, and the fact that they've now, in many ways, reimagined it, brought it into a digital. And again, this is not the same game, but it's in that style. It definitely takes inspiration from the original Turtles game, the Turtles in Time Wars, 4-player arcade beat 'em ups. And this is what we've all been claiming for so long. This is the Turtles game that we want. We don't want that. Again, no knock to that Platinum Games game that came out a couple years ago. Nobody wants that sort of Turtles game. This is the only Turtles game that we want.
We want 64-bit graphics.
Yeah, exactly.
Because that's really like the draw of this game. It looks like an old school arcade game. It plays like a brand new game of today. Obviously, there's 6 people on screen right now. I don't think that's something that's
chaos.
Yeah, and I wonder if it's like one of those things where the more people queue into the game, like the more enemies they put out or whatever.
That's a good question. I wonder about that. That's a very good question.
Because
I would assume so. That the game,
because like at six players, you're looking at like, okay, it's only 4 ninjas to beat up. Like, nah, it should be at least 2 ninjas per.
Right.
Maybe that's a difficulty setting or something. So but it's gonna be interesting doing the boss fights though. So we'll see.
Yeah, I know. I saw one clip of it where Rocksteady, like he's like in his business suit and he rips off the suit. So I'm not sure if he changes or like he already had it together and he's just changing out of it. So, but yeah, I'm excited for this one. So, that's Turtles, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles, Shredder's Revenge that comes out this week, Friday, dropping on Game Pass day 1. And yeah, all of us are gonna be playing that one. But Brian, what do you have coming up this week?
This I almost messed it up. This is where I'll be at. I have a episode coming out fairly recently. I have to record it, but I'm planning on releasing an episode this week of the Talk+Play blerdcast. Some music I've been getting into lately that I'm interested in talking about. Obviously, we had Summer Game Fest, State of Play. I didn't get to cover that. The Bethesda Xbox event, some other Xbox news that I think Xbox players would be excited for. Covering all that in the game chat. Headlines, I haven't really been paying too much attention to the drama, so we'll see what I end up discussing there. But TV has been really, really good. P-Valley is back. I'm really enjoying Miss Marvel. Can't wait to talk about the first 2 episodes there. Yeah. It's really good. What else am I watching? That's pretty much it. So look out for that. I want to say next day or 2, I'll probably put it out. But Talk+Play blerdcast, and then boom, here with you, Kuya P, talking video games in depth.
Sounds good to me. This week, currently episode 113 is out, talking about Sandman and the reaction to the trailers on here, talking about the most recent trailer to Netflix's Resident Evil interpretation, as well as the Black Adam trailer dropped. So I talk about that. Also, of course, Star Trek Strange New Worlds, finishing up my review of Stranger Things since I finished it last week, as well as talking some more about Miss Marvel, first episode. And this week, Obviously, I'll be talking about Strange New Worlds, Miss Marvel. Everything else, I have no idea yet because work has been kicking my butt this week, so I haven't had time to do anything else.
Trust me,
but it'll be a new episode out on Saturday morning, that's for sure.
All right.
So anyway, you can find again everything doing Brian thing, WebsterStyle.com among other places.
Right.
But of course, if you are not on the Talk and Play blerdcast, you're not on the Sartorian Geek podcast, you are with nerds who rule the world. Of course, you can find us on Instagram at New Release Wednesday. Find us on Twitter at the NLW, and of course, you're on YouTube. So make sure you like, share, and subscribe.
Please and